one and all, and listen to tales of excitement and adventure. Tales of daring heroes, savage monsters, and bards who just couldn't keep it in their pants. Tales of friendship, nobility, drunken foolishness, and unforgettable fun. These are tales of role-playing games, fair listeners, and this is Rollin' Bones. My name is Ryan Howard, and I shall be your guide. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Danishes and Dragons, your Saturday morning RPG Super Show. My name is Ryan Howard. I am your host and King of the Boneheads, and today we've got something a little bit different for you. What I'm going to be doing after we conclude our breakfast talk for the morning is I am going to be building out a character for an upcoming campaign that's being GM'd by a good friend of mine, one of my Wednesday players, that being Shag. So Shag, if you are watching this, thank you for watching. You've already heard about this character, so basically you'll just be seeing the stat block today. And I'll be doing this, I'll have the PDF up on the screen as I'm building this out. I'll be consulting a couple of resources. I just want to go ahead and say those before we jump into breakfast talk for the day. So obviously I'll be using the 5th edition Player's Handbook because you have to. It's 5th edition. This is a 5th edition game. I'll explain a little bit about what makes this game unique in just a little bit. But I'll also be using Xanathar's Guide to Everything because I will be building specifically a Hexblade Warlock. I want to play a spellcaster, but I cannot let go of my nonsense. So I have to be some kind of martial variant of a spellcaster. This will be my first time ever actually playing one. So I'm excited to see how it goes. And then the other resources I'll be using, I've got a guide pulled up for Warlocks in general called RPG Bot, which I will link to in the comments. And then I've got the special feats that Shag has provided us for this particular game. So I'll be consulting those throughout the episode. And I will kind of let you guys know what, what's going on and what kind of stuff Shag has added. I think Shag has done a great job with this, and we'll jump in just a little bit and discuss why I'm so excited about this particular game and why I've decided to build this character in front of you guys. In fact, I think moving forward, anytime I have an RPG character, I'll be building it on stream, just so you guys can see the process and, give your input and let me know if you think my build is going to end up being trash or if you think that what I'm doing sounds pretty cool. Alrighty. So, I guess we should start the day off with a little bit of discussion of breakfast. This morning, just to get rid of them, I had another bagel sandwich. I've been getting back into keto recently, so not only have I not been eating bagels on a regular basis, but I've not really been eating breakfast either. I've been doing intermittent fasting, so the only times that I have breakfast are on Saturday mornings. I treat Saturday as my kind of recarb day, because in addition to doing keto, I'm also, lifting weights. And so I don't want to feel weak. I want to be able to have a little bit of strength. So in order to do that, my body needs to be able to burn both carbs and fats. So starting Friday evenings, what I'll do is at that point, go out with my wife. We typically go out to dinner and just enjoy myself, eat what I feel like eating. And then on Saturdays, I kind of continue that. And then by Saturday evenings, at that point, I'm done. I get back to intermittent fasting and don't eat until usually around 11 o'clock on Sunday, and then I don't eat after 6 on Sunday evening to get back into the swing of things. And then Sundays I do actually follow keto. So 5 days on, a day and a half-ish off. And so far, I've been losing some of my COVID-19, as it were. Mine ended up being more of a COVID-20, but what can you do? Actually, what you can do is not eat like a monster just because you're stuck inside. But yeah, there's a couple of breakfast foods that I really have been missing. Since we moved out to where we are now and I started doing the show, I have not been able to get back to my favorite breakfast spot, that being McCreary's Irish Pub. Part of the reason is their breakfast hours are, I believe, like 8 a.m. to 12 on Saturdays and Sundays. And right smack in the middle of that, I do this show. So I am not blaming you guys for me not getting to go to my favorite breakfast place. I do enjoy doing this show. There may be a day coming up where I take the day off and insist to my wife that we go to McCreary's for breakfast. I may try to line that up with my next haircut, because there's a barbershop just down the street, but I actually prefer the barbershop that's over in East Nashville. It's a different branch of the same establishment, Scouts Barbershop, here in the Nashville area. I just prefer to go to the East Nashville one the same time, the same day, because I like the stylist who cuts my hair there. She does a great job, and every time I go to the one over in Franklin, where McCreary's is, I feel like I'm seeing different people, which, is fine. You can get multiple different kind of takes on what your hair's supposed to look like. But it's good to have consistency. I have not had a consistent barber since I moved to Nashville. A good friend of mine used to cut my hair, and I kind of miss having that same person cut my hair every time. They get familiar with you. They get familiar with what you like, that kind of stuff. That's very important to me in my haircuts. I like to be able to, talk to my barber and also just have them know my hair and know roughly what I'm looking for and, what's going to look good, what's not going to look good. So, that was a weird tangent. Another breakfast food that I'm actually really excited about, and someday we'll have a guest on when we do this, but I want to do a donut episode because my wife makes homemade donuts, and they are fantastic. Seriously, they're great. She's been kind of messing around with it for a little bit since we moved here. I got her some donut pans, and she's tweaked the recipe a couple times, but this last time I feel like she really nailed it. And here she is. Yeah, I really do feel like you nailed it this time, Elfie. It was really, really good. And someday we will be doing a donuts episode, and I will be describing my wife's homemade donuts in great detail. And then Mike over at Epic Duck, I've been on his stream, or I've been watching his stream. I haven't been streaming with him. I've been watching his stream a couple times a week, and he's really excited about coming on and doing sour milk pancakes at some point, which I think sounds delicious. I've never made sour milk pancakes, so I'll have to kind of look into how that's done. I don't know if it's just a different Canadian way of saying buttermilk pancakes, which I have had, but I will look into it. And we're probably going to bring Mike on sometime in December because, as those of you who know Epic Duck, you know that he is famous for his comic style painting. And if you haven't seen it, you can check out the episode that he and I did a few weeks back. Obviously, you should check out his streams and his YouTube videos. But basically, he paints minis in a way that makes them look like they came off of the pages of a comic book. There's a lot of black lining and heavy shadows on a lot of them to really kind of make them look, or make a 2D image look 3D. Or make, in this case, a 3D image look 2D. And I've been kind of trying to learn the style and picking up some tips where I can from his streams. But as you guys know, I'll be getting the Batman the Animated Series OGS game from IDW Games in December. That, did the Kickstarter back in February. And I supported it, so, that'll be coming in December. And when I get it, and when I start painting all those miniatures, that's when I want to have Mike on to kind of discuss the ins and outs, the highs and lows of comic style painting. And until then, I will be doing a lot of comic style stuff on Instagram at Howard_Ryan Gregg. And also, I just wanted to let you guys know, those of you who are on Facebook, you can now find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Rollin' Bones with Ryan Howard. Basically, it's a repository for my Instagram posts. So there's a lot of miniatures. There'll be updates when, a new episode comes up. I'll be letting you guys know on there, when we're going live, as well as on Twitter. And, I hope those of you who have Facebook and maybe don't have Instagram or don't want to use Twitter will join us at Rollin' Bones with Ryan Howard on Facebook. So, that is kind of the breakfast side of things, and I would like to dedicate a majority of this episode to the character creation aspect. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. So, just to let you guys know what is going down here, Shag has created this world. I believe the campaign is called Five Elders. I always, in my mind, want to call it Legend of the Five Elders, and have to convince myself, I'm still not entirely sure if that's actually what it's called, because as those of you who are familiar with RPGs know, Legend of the Five Rings is a thing. So in my mind, I'm conflating those two. I'm pretty sure it's just called Five Elders. But basically, this is a homebrew martial arts campaign. So the main thrust of this is, obviously races will have some different names, and some races will be kind of less prevalent. But my character is going to be a half-elf warlock, specifically Hexblade, and I'm going with Pact of the Blade for his pact at that point. His pact boon is what it's called. Just let me pull up the information that I sent to Shag about my character. There we go. All right. So, my character, like I said, is a half-elf Hexblade Warlock. His name is Hongsu Chang. Uh, Everything's got kind of an East Asian flair to it, so I decided to go with specifically a Chinese-inspired name. And a lot of what my backstory brings in, I owe a lot to Sen and Banana when we did the Zhengshu episode, because they were talking a lot about numerology, and I basically incorporated a ton of kind of the concept of numerology and the way that that works out in Chinese culture into my character's backstory. So, a note about elves in Shag's world here. Elves are actually pretty rare. They are a seafaring folk, and they're really only concentrated in a single area, and there's not a lot of them. So I had to kind of clear it with him. I was like, I want to be a half-elf. And, obviously he cleared it. I wouldn't be trying to push for it if he wouldn't clear it. That's kind of the social contract of D&D. When your DM says, if these are the acceptable parameters, if you want to push a little bit past them, have a conversation with me. If that conversation ends up at no, at that point, you pick something else. Yes, Elfie, always respect your DM. And basically, when you're like me and you're a forever GM, there's really this mentality of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule really comes into play when you're a forever GM and you finally get the chance to step from behind the screen. I know a lot of forever GMs kind of go pants on head crazy when it comes to finally getting the chance to play. Now they get to do everything the players have done to them in a certain situation, or break out their most ridiculous character concept, because you never know when you'll get to play next. But I have a very kind of set lane of characters that I like to play. So I typically don't push boundaries that much. I find that I'm kind of the one who will be like, yeah, I'll be the fighter, or I'll be the ranger. I like my martial classes. I like being able to swing a sword. But for this one, I am pushing into Warlock territory, because I want to try spellcasting. But I also want to swing a sword, so Hexblade. Anyway. So, Hong Su Chang is his father's fourth son, born on the fourth day of the fourth month. His only memory of his elven father is the shattered blade and hilt of a Miao Dao, which, upon his fourth birthday, revealed itself to be the vessel of an ancient and mysterious entity. The entity manifested as his quote-unquote imaginary friend, getting him into all sorts of trouble, but earning him a fearsome reputation. So basically, what I'm reading here is what I sent to Shag. Basically, the idea here is he's the fourth son, born on the fourth day of the fourth month. If you remember back to the Zhengshu episode, 4 is an unlucky number in Chinese numerology. So it's like being a seventh son. He was born under a bad sign, shall we say. And he's an illegitimate child. But the idea was that, what he had was this kind of shattered hilt of a greatsword that his father left for him. A Miao Dao is like a large Chinese sword. Like a two-handed sword. And basically, the sword kind of houses his patron, which we'll get into once I get into Warlock stuff. This is where his patron lives. And when he turned 4, his patron manifested himself as his imaginary friend, and basically decided that, this kid is going to be the best fighter in his little town, He's going to do everything that I tell him to do. Kind of that concept of, the kid who is trying to act out, but then blames everything on his imaginary friend. Have you ever seen the movie Parental Guidance with Billy Crystal? That movie has a great subplot where one of the characters, I believe he's 3 or 4 years old, but he has an imaginary friend named Carl the Kangaroo. And basically, the kid's pushing the boundaries and acting out at every turn. But when he gets in trouble, he blames everything on Carl. And there's a whole arc that he goes through with Carl the Kangaroo. And Billy Crystal's character, his grandpa, is trying to get him to drop Carl from his life. Good morning. Good morning, Out of the Loop. We're just discussing the background for the new character that I'll be building here today. And I was talking about Parental Guidance, which is a great movie, if you haven't seen it. Billy Crystal and Bette Midler are the old-fashioned grandparents to 3 modern children, played by child actors who I don't know. The parents are Marissa Tomei and Tom Everett Scott, though, so it's an all-star cast. But basically, these kids have been raised the modern way, and the grandparents are old school, and it's about how they kind of, meet in the middle, shall we say. So, anyway, with that out of the way, basically, Loopy, to get you caught up, my character is a half-elf Hexblade Warlock named Hong-Soo Chang. This is a martial arts campaign that we're playing in, and he is basically the unlucky, illegitimate son of an elven sailor. And his father left him a broken greatsword that when he was 4 years old manifested itself as his imaginary friend, which caused him to get into hijinks. But it also, most of the hijinks that the sword was trying to get him into ended up involving him fighting more, like, big kids. So this thing would be like, hey, you see those 7-year-olds over there, little 4-year-old Hong-Soo, go pick a fight with one of them. Yes, yeah, very much like Dorothy Spinner. Yeah, it's kind of a trope that you see in a lot of fiction, and I wanted to give it a martial arts type spin on it, as well as incorporating it into what the Hexblade is. And so this thing will be like, go pick a fight with those 7-year-olds. And the first time, he goes over there, he gets his butt kicked because he's 4. But then he does it again and again, and this thing teaches him more and more about combat, and eventually he beats up a 7-year-old. Then he beats up 2. Then he beats up 4. And by kind of the time that he's, let's say 11 years old, this kid has, like, the reputation of, I just forgot the guy's name, from Yu Yu Hakusho, the main character, where he's a kid, but everyone's afraid of him. I can't believe I just forgot. Yusuke. He's got Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho's reputation. And so, moving on in the backstory that I gave him here, by the time Hong-Soo reached manhood, the entity identified itself as the Warden of the Walls, and offered Hong-Soo tremendous power if he agreed to serve as his outsider. So Hong-Soo's official title from his patron, the Warden of the Walls, is the outsider. And again, the concept here is that throughout his growing up years, so this would be right around the time he's 18 years old, is when this happens. So from the time he was 4 to the 14 years between, the Warden was doing 2 things: pushing him to the fringe of society and making him as tough as he could possibly be. And what this results in is basically a situation where Hong-Soo is already an outsider. He's already got, the skills of a great fighter. and this thing is offering him tremendous power. He doesn't have anywhere else to go. He's an illegitimate child. Any kind of schooling that could have been bestowed upon him, he would have been summarily kicked out of. So it ends up in a situation where to quote Warren Zevon out of context, what's a Canadian farm boy to do? Hit somebody. So naturally, having been under the influence of this entity for 14 years, he accepts. And at this point, the warden begins teaching him how to use a sword. And he bestows upon him this power called the Warden's Blade. And this is what kind of your packed weapon, or my packed weapon, my Hexblade is going to be. This Warden's Blade, which, if you are familiar with kind of the Pact of the Blade, you can basically summon a weapon of any kind. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But this warden, as he calls himself, he instructs Hong Su in martial arts and blade arts. Which blade arts are a martial art, but the idea is that because there's this homebrew feat that Shag has given us, where each of us knows a martial arts style, and has kind of, basic trappings of a monk, the idea is that the warden would have taught him both armed and unarmed combat. So, the warden instructed Hong Su in the martial arts and bestowed upon him the ability to summon the Warden's Edge, a magical weapon that takes the form of any martial weapon he needs. That's, the Warden's Edge is what I just described. Hong Su operates as a mercenary, donning a mask made from the broken bits of blade that his father gave him. Whenever he enters battle. So basically, the sword that his father gave him, the Miao Dao that I talked about at the beginning, yes, we have some Ninja Turtle themes going on here. I don't know if anyone's playing a turtle, but yes, a turtle monk would not go amiss in this particular game going on here. And obviously, I love the Ninja Turtles. My turtles are the 2003 Turtles. Those are the ones I played with. Absolutely, it is a missed opportunity if someone doesn't bring a turtle to the table. But basically, because the blade that his dad gave him was broken, shattered into multiple pieces, I'm picturing the sword from Lord of the Rings, how it's broken. Basically, he took those fragments and turned it into a domino mask that he wears over his face when he goes into combat as the outsider. And his whole thing, this is actually kind of based a little bit on back when I did martial arts. The guy that I took Shaolin Kung Fu from could trace his lineage in the arts all the way back to the Hunan Temple. And the guy, our great grandmaster, his grandmaster, the guy who taught the man who taught him, used to go beyond the Great Wall back in the early 1900s with caravans and basically fight off anyone who was trying to raid the caravans. And he apparently carried around his weapons in a golf bag. and also... And some of this, I don't know how much of this is true or how much of this is embellishment, because this is heard it from a kung fu master who heard it from another kung fu master. But apparently, the great grandmaster Yi, the man who taught my teacher's teacher, had these straps off of this golf bag of weapons that were ears and noses of people that he killed. it's all super metal. And, you know, being at the time when I started 11 years old, all that, you know, that was like that was some heavy stuff. That stuck with me. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever when that was revealed to me. That this guy would basically go out beyond the Great Wall and protect caravans, and anyone he killed, he basically took trophies from. So that's kind of where Hong Soo Chang gets his mercenary thing from. He's the outsider. He goes beyond the wall, and he deals with all the nasty creatures out there. And the idea here, and a lot of this is going to be on what Shag wants to do with who the Warden of the Walls actually is, or what the Warden of the Walls actually is. But the idea is basically like Ghost Rider with Mephisto in Marvel Comics. You know, he's the champion of this entity. He fights this entity's enemies. And so, again, this is going to take whatever form Shag wants it to take. If those are demons, if they're Oni. I know that Oni played into the last time that Shag ran this game, so I don't know if that's going to come up again. But basically whatever enemy Shag wants me to kill is what's going to end up being the enemy of the Warden of the Walls. And so it'll be my job to keep what's outside outside. And so that's kind of where I find myself with this character. I can show you the custom mini that I have for him. I don't know how well it's going to show up. I'll be painting him pretty soon. So you guys will be able to see that on my Instagram and Facebook once it's painted, you know, clearer pictures, all that stuff. So let's actually dive into the building of a character here. So I'm going to switch over to my screen share, and we will begin building out this character. All right, so here we are. I've got this kind of pulled up, and I'm going to make sure that my camera is not blocking too terribly much here. The only thing it's blocking right now is the name, Hong Soo Chang. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in some of these details. This is a form-fillable character sheet that you can get from Wizards of the Coast for free. So, he's a Warlock. Level 6, because we're starting at level 6. I've got some of these features filled out, but not all of them. I made one pass at this character before, so I'll just need to, let's see, yeah, background. My name is Ryan Howard. Race. Half-Elf, not Eld. Alignment. My alignment for this is going to end up being chaotic neutral. And then experience. I don't know if Shag does experience or not. I'm kind of doubting it. Because experience leveling, it's kind of old hat at this point. Honestly, I don't know a lot of people who are using experience leveling anymore. So there's that. If he wants to do it that way, though, that is his call. So let's go ahead and start. We're actually going to start with Xanathar's Guide, and I'll be reading from Xanathar's Guide here for just a little bit to explain to you guys what the Hexblade is. Just for those of you who don't really have an idea. So, here's the image of the Hexblade. Of course, it's a tiefling because edgy. But this actually starts back here on page 55 of Xanathar's Guide to Everything. The Hexblade. You have made your pact with a mysterious entity from the Shadowfell, a force that manifests in sentient magic weapons carved from the stuff of Shadow. The mighty sword Black Razor is the most notable of these weapons, which have been spread across the multiverse over the ages. The shadowy forces behind these weapons can offer power to warlocks who form pacts with it. Many Hexblade Warlocks create weapons that emulate those formed in Shadowfell. Others forego such arms, content to weave the dark magic of the plane into their spellcasting. Because the Raven Queen is known to have forged the first of these weapons, many sages speculate that she and the Force are one, and that the weapons, along with the Hexblade Warlocks, are tools she uses to manipulate events on the material plane to her inscrutable ends. So the Raven Queen stuff is not going to end up being relevant, or it might end up being relevant. Again, that's up to Shag. So, basically, you have made a pact with an entity that resides in a weapon. That's the Meow Dao, as we discussed. And the features that you get, of course, you have an expanded spell list as you do with other patrons within the Warlock. There's a feature at 6th level called a Cursed Spectre. At 10th level, Armor of Hexes, and at 14th level, Master of Hexes. So, you have an expanded spell list. I'm only going to be going through... let's see. I don't remember exactly what levels, and I'll need to break out the PHB here in just a second to kind of take things over moving forward. But, you know, starting out, you can get Shield, you can get Wrathful Smite. A lot of what you get here is like stuff from the Paladin spell list. This is basically kind of a dark Paladin build. And so the reason I'm starting with Xanathar's Guide is this all comes in at first level. This is first level stuff for the Warlock, because this is where you get your power from. So, Hexblade features, we're going to skip over the expanded spells and come back to that in just a little bit. Hexblade's Curse. Starting at first level, you gain the ability to place a baleful curse on someone. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. The target is cursed for 1 minute. And that curse ends if the target dies, you die, or you're incapacitated. So, you gain a bonus to damage rolls against the cursed target. The bonus equals your proficiency bonus. So at 6th level, I believe that'll be +3. Any attack roll that you make against the cursed target is a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20. So you've got that champion fighter crit range extension, which I think is awesome. And I've never had that before, because when I play fighters, I play Battle Masters. So I'm looking forward to critting on 19s. If the cursed target dies, you regain hit points equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier, minimum of 1 hit point. So that's going to end up being 6 plus whatever my Charisma modifier is. That Charisma modifier is going to be damn high, let me tell you that. And then the other thing I'm going to mention here real quick, we'll go over the invocations in a little bit, as far as what it means for the Hexblade once I start building this thing out. I'm going to do stats here in just a second. So the Accursed Spectre is another feature that I'll get. Starting at 6th level, you can curse the soul of a person you slay, temporarily binding it to your service. When you slay a humanoid, you can cause its spirit to rise from its corpse as a specter. Stats are in the monster manual. When the specter appears, it gains temporary hit points equal to half your Warlock level, 3 hit points. Roll initiative for the Spectre, which has its own turns. It obeys your verbal commands, and it gains a special bonus to its attack rolls equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of +0. So what we'd be looking at here is like a +4 to attack from a Spectre. And Spectres are not pushovers. He'll end up with... Now, I'm not sure here if he gets 3 extra hit points or if he only has 3 hit points. But this Spectre can cause a lot of damage, and it doesn't take my action for him to do anything. So basically, I'll have a ghost buddy. If I kill someone, he becomes my ghost buddy. It's almost as cool as having a pet, having a ghost buddy. So I will leave that open for the time being. What I'm going to do right now is go to character creation in the player's handbook. I'm pretty sure anyone who's watching this has already kind of gone through character creation before, so I'm not going to kind of bore you with the details here. What I will tell you is I'm using standard array. I just need to find the half-elf. Here we go. Yes. Yes, Loopy. Ghost Buddy equals low maintenance costs. I don't have to scoop the poop of a Ghost Buddy. So yes, in many ways, Ghost Buddy might be superior to Pet. And Ghost Buddy does crap tons of damage. And has a... No, Elfie, unfortunately, I don't think the Ghost Buddy is going to be fluffy. That's the downside. Them's the breaks, unfortunately. I can't have a fluffy Ghost Buddy. Since Spectres are not... No, that... Again, good point there. Good point there, Loopy. Ghost Buddy does not beg for treats, just souls. So, let's see. I should use the table of contents. That's what it's there for. All right. So, equipment. I think it's actually one of the first things that you see in the PHB. Well, Elfie, that all depends. That all depends on what the Spectre asks for. If Ghost Buddy wants treats, I suppose I can give them to him. I guess it really all depends on how Ghost Buddy is feeling, though. And yes, Loopy Souls are the true treats that we all crave. So yeah, I'll be using standard array here. I would use point buy, but Shag did not give me any instructions. Oh goodness, Ghost Buddy abuse. This is what we've turned to. Now you guys are going to be asking me about my Ghost Buddy all the time. And you know what? He's doing great. Because I will love him and take care of him. I will call him... I don't know. I'm not going to call him George. I feel like that's kind of a cliche. I don't know what to call him. I'll have to meet him first. Because right now, this Ghost Buddy is just a concept. I have not in play awakened my Ghost Buddy. So... Standard array for 5th edition is 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. And for a Warlock, you want your stats... your main stat's going to be Charisma. This is a face class, which I'm also excited about because I never get to be the party face. So yeah, for like a quick build, what it says here in the PHB, you want Charisma to be your highest stat, Constitution as your second highest stat. So, what that means for the purposes of character creation, to start with, let me switch over here. So we'll go all the way down here to Charisma. Charisma is going to be my 15. Constitution, 14. From here, I think I'm going to make Wisdom my... No, I'm going to make Wisdom 10. Strength is going to be 8 because Strength does not matter to this build. Intelligence will be the... we'll make that the 13 so I can do a little bit better on Arcana. And then 12 for Dexterity. I'm not going to put in the bonuses just yet because I will get additional racial bonuses from being a half-elf. And yes, Loopy, I am looking for Ghost Buddy's uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Exactly. I don't exactly know what that's a reference to. If it's Pokemon or Animal Crossing, it's going to go right over my head. Which is hard to do because my hair is large, but it's been known to happen before. So let's get back to the half-elf. Ah, yes. Yeah, RuPaul references are also going to go right over my fluffy head. I don't watch much Drag Race. I'm a little too vanilla for stuff like that. So, half-elves. Half-elves are stupid, sexy, broken, is the best way to describe them. Basically, as a half-elf, charisma becomes a 17. And now I get to choose 2 ability scores to increase by 1. Now, what to keep in mind here is, well, first of all, I'm going to increase Constitution to 15 to start with. And then let's give a bump to... What should I give a bump to next? I'm going to give some love to Dexterity. Okay. And yes, I am looking for sexy brokenness from my my ghost buddy. Warlocks are very emo, just as a general rule. My backstory has probably made me even more emo, so sexy brokenness is the flavor of the day. So, again, I'm not going to put my modifiers in just yet because, you know, since this is going to be a 6th level character, all of those are going to increase. And I will not put my my modifiers in until I get to having my final stats. So I'm actually going to keep my phone open so I can continue to see the fun that Loopy brings to chat here. See if it'll pop up while I'm reading. Because right now, in the interest of full disclosure, my attention is kind of split between my book and the document. So I just want to make sure that I'm catching everything. Cool. So, what we've got here, let's see. Chaotic already, yeah. Let's scroll on down here to just some of the preliminaries. Hair is going to be black because emo. See, Loopy, I don't like Panic at the Disco. You might be able to talk me into My Chemical Romance, although I have kind of a history of dunking on My Chemical Romance fans. Can we split the difference and say that I'm listening to Motionless in White? Because I actually have a lot of respect for those guys. I saw them live. I didn't know I was going to see them live. They opened for Lizzie Hale, who then opened for Alice Cooper. But they were great. They kind of made a fan out of me. It's like when I went to see the Bare Naked Ladies and Better Than Ezra and KT Tunstall opened for them, and I was like, I know 2 songs by you, and now I'm a KT Tunstall fan. Surprise emo gets us all. Yes. Oh, especially in high school. Pour one out for all of us who got our hearts broken by Scene Girls at one point or another. It's okay, though, because I am married now. So, age. This guy's about 24. He's about my age. And this is very unusual for me. I'm usually playing characters who are, like, 35 or older. I have a reputation for playing old man characters. And I know 35 is not an old man, but I've kind of threatened to bring, like, a 50-year-old character to the table before. So, let's see. He is going to be, let's say, 6 foot even. He's going to weigh, let's put him at, he's going to be a little bit on the slim side because he's half-elf. I'm going to put him in right around 170. Eyes. Let's go for the full emo hat trick. He has violet eyes. If I spelled violet wrong, just put it in chat. Skin. No. Pallid. There we go. Copy. Paste. And then we've got some, stuff here. All that good stuff. We'll fill in and... I'm actually not going to fill that stuff out on stream. Features and traits. Let's go ahead and put in dark vision. My speed is going to be 30 feet. Size, where's the size thing? Actually, I don't think that shows up here because pretty much all player characters are medium-sized except for, well, I mean, if you're a halfling, I guess your size matters. I don't see a spot for it. I'll probably have to fill that in later. So I got Dark Vision, Fae, Ancestry. Thank you, Loopy. Thank you. I'm not good at spelling, which is odd because I like to write. I blame the tremendously flawed education system that we had growing up. Let's see. Languages. Common. Elvish. And one extra language. I believe that dwarves are a thing. Actually, you know what? My extra language is going to be Abyssal. No, that's not quite. Infernal. There we go. And yes, Infernal is a language. All right. Cool, so now let's mosey on over to the Warlock. Oh, I also gain proficiency with 2 extra skills, so once I get into skill proficiencies, we will address those. By the way, my player's handbook is a wreck. Just so you guys can see that. And this is not from overuse. Wizards has this terrible tendency to put out books that have massive structural problems. At least in the first print run. And so, this book is falling apart. And has been, like, from the first month I had it. I should probably get it replaced, but I feel like at this point it just makes me look like a good dungeon master. Like, his book is so worn. He uses it all the time. He carries it with him everywhere. So, starting out with the Warlock, I have proficiency in Wisdom and Charisma saving throws. I get to choose 2 skills from Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. So we are going to go with Intimidation. And we are going to go with, let's see, Deception. Where are you at, Deception? There we go. Cool. Now, I need to pull up, since I'm doing skill proficiencies, I'm going to go ahead and do them all at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up 5e backgrounds, mercenary veteran. Which I think actually might be in the PHB. Or it's in Xanathar's guide. Just looking real quick. Backgrounds are always weird. In fact, what I'm going to do with backgrounds, or specifically with this background, is I'm going to ignore the choices as far as your flaw and your, all that stuff. Really, all that does is give you stuff to roleplay, and I prefer to come up with my own concepts. Those. All right, so it's not in there. Let's see if it's here in Xanathar's Guide. It doesn't look like it's in Xanathar's Guide either. So this is something from... Yeah, this looks like it comes from a different book entirely. So, let's see where the mercenary veteran background comes from. 5e, background mercenary veteran. Oh, it's from Sword Coast. It's from the Sword Coast Adventure Guide. So, what this gives me basically is 2 skill proficiencies, athletics and persuasion, and then 1 type of gaming set and land vehicles. So, persuasion, athletics, land vehicles, and then just because I love the way that it sounds, dragon chess. That's my favorite of the gaming sets. It sounds so metal. I don't play chess, I play dragon chess. All right, so those are the proficiencies, or yeah, those are the skill proficiencies that we have to start with. Not much of a skill monkey, not really. And then as far as our weapon proficiencies, what we have is light. Let's see, is this... This should actually go... It should actually go over here. Light armor. But you get some added proficiencies from being a Hexblade at first level. This comes from Hex Warrior. So, with the Hex Warrior, you gain proficiency with medium armor, shields, and martial weapon. So, light, medium armor, shields, martial weapons, and simple. Cool. So, with that, let's go ahead and go through all of our stat increases. Because I will be getting one ability score improvement, which I might actually trade for a feat. In fact, I think I will end up just taking a feat instead of that ability score improvement. I made one attempt at building this out, so I'm just going to see what I did here as far as feats. Let's see. Yes, in fact, I took Great Weapon Master. So, instead of my... let me actually divide this up a little bit better. FL features. Warlock features. Patron. Hexblade. Gotcha. So yeah, what I'm going to end up doing here, let me go ahead and put a little bit of space here because a bunch of stuff's going to end up filling in there. Feats. Great Weapon Master. Master of Weapons is slashing my strings. Cool. So, yes, Great Weapon Master. So what that means, basically, after you crit someone with Great Weapon Master, you can make a bonus action attack. This is actually after critting or killing. You can make a bonus action attack and you can take -5 to a melee attack for +10 damage. So, Great Weapon Master. After a crit or kill, can take -5 penalty to attack roll for +10 of your earth damages. And I may need to make the font a little bit smaller here. Let's actually go ahead and do that. Nope, that's the wrong one. I'll do that later. I'll take care of that later. So now let's go in and kind of fill in the gaps here. Proficiency bonus at 6th level is going to be +3. I believe I already said that. +3. So our stats are going to end up staying where they are. So what this ends up meaning is -1. Let's go all the way back to the beginning here, just to kind of let everyone know where this is for reference. So you can find the list of ability score modifiers on page 13 of the PHB. So with an 8 or 9, you're at a -1. With a 13, that is a +1. Your stats increase on even numbers. So 14 to 15, you're looking at a +2. Intelligence. That's not how it's said. +1. Wisdom. No modifier. Charisma. +3. There we go. So, what that means is adding my +3 proficiency bonus. We're looking at a -1 here. Not an _1. Dexterity. +1. Constitution. +2. Intelligence. +1. Wisdom, we have a whopping +6. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, that is a +3. Charisma, we have a whopping +6. All right. And I can now go through here. I'm actually just going to do the ones that I'm proficient with. So athletics, you're looking at +2. Deception, you were looking at +6. Intimidation, +6. Persuasion, +6. And there we go. And I'll do those kind of later, because that's a whole long list. And I'll do passive perception later, because that's another thing. Actually, passive perception, we should go ahead and learn a little bit more about that, because that's one thing that a lot of people forget about. So let me go ahead and pull up some information here on passive perception. So, passive checks. So your passive perception is 10 plus your wisdom modifier. So mine is a 10. Since I don't have any bonuses to perception. So I am about average perceptiveness. That's where I find myself. So, other features that I have here. So, under my patronage... Why'd you do that? Oh, yeah. Shift, no, that's wrong. Control tab? No. Okay, whatever. I'm not sure how to indent here, so let's see. Now we're moving over here, since the first thing you get at first level is Pact Magic and your Otherworldly Patron. So we're going to start with the Patron. Basically, the Hexblade's Curse is your first thing that you... Or actually, Hex Warrior. Well, I mean, Hex Warrior, that's really all you have here. I do need to put that down, though. You get additional proficiencies. And whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch one weapon that you are proficient with and that lacks the two-handed property. When you attack with that weapon, you can use your charisma modifier instead of strength or dexterity for the attack and damage rolls. That lasts until you finish a long rest. And if you later gain the Pact of the Blade feature, this benefit extends to every packed weapon you conjure with that feature, no matter the weapon's type. So, basically, once I get packed weapon, which is going to come at 3rd level, which we'll get to in just a little bit once we get past the 1st and 2nd level stuff. At that point, any weapon that I conjure can be turned into my Hex Warrior weapon, and I can use my Charisma modifier to attack with it. So I'll go ahead and put I need this thing to be smaller. Edit. No, don't. Stupid Adobe. Just let me change the size of the text. That's zooming out. See, this is the... You can't even put great sword in there without it freaking out. This is ridiculous. I'll figure that out later. Anyway. Hex Warrior. And then from here, we go to Hexblade's Curse. Attacks. Hexblade's Curse. Loopy, to answer your question, would physical attacks hurt Ghost Buddy or would only magic hurt them? I believe that specters are resistant to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage to kind of indicate that they're incorporeal. That's typically how 5th edition handles it, is, just to make sure that you can, to emphasize a ghost's otherworldliness. Actually, I'll pull it up. Spectre 5e. Here on roll 20, we've got the stat block here. That's typically how it manifests, though, is some kind of resistance to physical damage. So, yeah, a Spectre, damage resistance is acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. Completely immune to necrotic and poison because it's dead. And it can't be charmed, exhausted, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, or unconscious. So, physical attacks from non-magical weapons or non-silvered weapons do not do as much damage to the Spectre as they normally would. So, that's how Ghost Buddy can protect himself from the slings and arrows of Outrageous Fortune. Oh, and one other thing that I should address now before we get too terribly far. Under feats, Shag has granted us all the martial arts, or martial artist feat. So... And I might actually swap out Great Weapon Master for something else, because Shag has a couple other universal style feats. So, you gain key points equal to your class level. That means I have 6 key points. And it's basically the same thing as Monk's Martial Arts. Your unarmed strike damage is D6 plus either dex or strength, depending on your style. And when both your hands are empty, if you use your attack action to attack with only unarmed strikes, you may use a bonus action to make an attack with an unarmed strike with your fists, foot, etc. You may also use your bonus action to make an attack if your style is one that requires a weapon. So we go down here, we've got pugilism, which is your bare knuckle boxing, kung fu, tai chi, imperial dragon style, drunken boxing, and then there are some generic martial arts feats as well, which I'll get to in just a little bit. So, imperial dragon style, oh no, that's drunken boxing. Imperial dragon style, let's see if this is a weapon style. No. I think kung fu can be used as a weapon style. So yeah, in the world of canon, which is where we're playing, kung fu refers to any study, learning, or practice that requires patience, energy, and time to complete. The term kung fu, for those of you who don't know, does not actually mean martial arts. That's wushu. Kung fu means time well spent. So that's where the kind of the focus idea comes in. So yeah, in this one, if you choose, you can choose weapon damage for your damage type. Basically, you select a damage type, bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, or weapon, and then all attacks. Let's see. Yeah, if your opponent misses with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to make an unarmed strike against the opponent. So basically, you do that type of damage with your unarmed attacks. And then you have some special moves here. Furious Blows. You spend a key point to deliver a nearly unavoidable barrage of punches and kicks. When using Furious Blows, you receive one additional bonus action at level 4, 8, and 12. And then Dim Mak, you deliver a deadly vital strike to a pressure point, dealing normal damage but causing your opponent to make a con save versus your proficiency bonus, plus intelligence modifier plus your class level. If the attack is successful, you deal damage equal to your level. If your damage type is either slashing or piercing or a weapon of this type, you can deal bleed damage equal to your proficiency bonus for a duration of rounds equal to your class level instead. On a crit, your opponent has to save versus death. So yeah, this is going to be the way to go for me. Kung Fu. Kung Fu, and then choose weapon damage as my damage type. So martial artists, Kung Fu. Gonna put some separation there. Damage type. Weapon. Key points. 6. So, let's see. So yeah, Furious Blows and Dim Mak, I can spend key points on. And then, as part of the martial artist feat, because because my martial art features a weapon, let's see. What's this saying? Oh, I've got key points. Trying to figure out this feat here real quick. You have a key pool with a number of key points equal to your level of martial artist plus your proficiency bonus. If your particular style has key points. All right, so I think what that means is I actually have 9 key points. Seems a little bit broken. But okay. Nine. There we go. Now I'm going to look at some of these other feats that Shag has here, just to see kind of how they would kind of benefit my character. See if maybe one would be better for me than Dragon Style. So we've got these martial arts feats. I'm not going to be an unarmed fighter, so I'm going to go down to what would end up being... Let's see, Zen weaponry requires Zen defense, which requires improved unarmed strike, so yeah, I'm going to skip over that. So we have Ichi-Ryu technique. That's for 2-weapon fighting. Gives you advantage on your offhand. We've got some other sword arts here. So let's see. We've got Shinto-Ryu technique, which requires a dex of 12, proficiency bonus +3, and proficiency in martial and two-handed weapons. Katana, bow staff, naginata, and spear. I don't remember what a naginata is. I believe it's a poleaxe. Yes, it is. It's a polearm. Cool. So, basically, you gain advantage to attack rolls while using any of the aforementioned weapons. I believe the one that's going to be most effective for me is either Wudang or Itu-Ryu. So let me see what those are. I may not have the stats for these. Yeah, I don't have the strength for Itu-Ryu. It requires a strength of 14 and a wisdom of 12. Wudang requires a proficiency bonus of +4, so I can't take that yet. I also might not have the stats for it. And I don't have Zen weaponry. So yeah, basically we're going to stick with Great Weapon Master. And that's all that we have for right now as far as the homebrew stuff. The last thing I'm going to do real quick is go over some of the spells. So Warlocks have a kind of interesting spell limitation, shall we say. Oh, I also need to put in Ghost Buddy here. There we go. Ghost Buddy. He's on the sheet now. He is sheet official. Ghost Buddy is real now. All right, so we can go over invocations, which are kind of your bread and butter as far as spells go. and Pact Magic. So for Pact Magic, you have only a very limited number of spell slots. You're mostly reliant on cantrips, and your cantrips are kind of beefed up by what are known as Eldritch Invocations. So you start off with 2 cantrips. Since we're going to be at 6th level, I'll go ahead and you learn 3 at 6th level, so I can know 3 cantrips. Let me go on down to the spellcasting page. Cantrips, I know 3. And spell slots. Let's see, at 6th level, I know 7 spells. I have only 2 spell slots, but they're both 3rd level. And I know 3 invocations. So, the way that spellcasting works for warlocks, you only really have 2 to up to 4 spell slots, and that's at, like, epic level. So at 6th level, you're looking at, you have 2 spell slots at 4th level. You can know 7 spells up to, 4th level spells, but you've only got 2 slots, so use them wisely. So, that's where you'd put the slots expended. I don't know why these lines keep showing up. It's weird. Oh well. Let's see. So, as far as spells go, we go now to the Warlock table. I know 7 spells. I should put in my spellcasting stuff. Go on over to Chapter 10 to go over your spell attack modifiers and proficiency and stuff like that. Get that down real quick. And we're going to call it after spells and invocations, because at that point it's just kind of minutia. I will have this thing filled out by the time of our first session. But I just wanted to go over kind of top-level stuff. So these are going to be the last 2 things we discuss here. So, spellcasting is on page 201 of your player's handbook. Spell slots, yes. All good under the hood. Areas of effect, line. So, your spell save DC is equal to 8. I just lost it there. 8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier, plus your proficiency bonus, plus any special modifiers. I don't know of any special modifiers, so we're looking at 8 plus 3. Yep. Plus 3. So it'd be 14. Spellcasting ability. Sha. And spell attack bonus. Your attack bonus is your spellcasting modifier plus your proficiency bonus, so a 6. There we go. Now, cantrips. As far as cantrips go, you can find them in page 210 is where you'll find your Warlock spell list. So, if we know 3 cantrips, obviously You are not a warlock if you don't know Eldritch Blast. They take away your card. Now I'm actually going to go to Xanathar's Guide for a spell that was added there. Let me make sure that I can actually take it. Let's see. I might not be able to. Let's look up Green Flame Blade, because I believe that's actually a sword coast. Yes. Yeah, that is a sword coast cantrip. So again, this comes from the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. And I believe that warlocks can take Green Flame Blade. There's also a spell called Thirsting Blade. I don't remember where that comes in. I think that is a invocation. Yep. So yeah, let's go ahead and add Green Flame Blade as one of our cantrips here. That's because I'm a melee character. And then what else should I add? Let's see. For this, I'm actually going to go back over to RPG Bot and take a look at some of these spells here. Because they do have a list of spells that are good for you. I believe. Maybe they don't. Oh, here we go. Spell list. So, yeah, I mean, I could also take Booming Blade. Or I could take Prestidigitation. I still think I only get 3 cantrips, so... I think I probably will take Booming Blade. Just to give myself a little bit more utility. Yeah, no 3 cantrips, so... Yep. Yeah, I'll take Booming Blade. Just to fully emphasize that I am, in fact, a Blade Lock. So. Once we're up to 4th level, what do we need from 4th level spells? Banishment. Sickening Radiance. Those are both good. I definitely need Banishment. So let's keep in mind I know 7 spells here. Banishment. Which, for those of you who don't know, it's basically save or go away. Also, let me look up Armor of Agathys, which is... If I can use Armor of Agathys while still having armor on, I will take it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm going to take Armor of Agathys. That is a 1st level spell. I believe that's how you spell it. Yes. Okay. So that's 2 spells I know. Now, one thing I'm not sure about, and I'll need to consult... I guess it would be here in Xanathar's Guide. Do I need the Hex spell to get the Hexblade's Hex? Because if I do, then I have to take Hex. If not, then there's no point in taking Hex. Because my class Hex... Oh, that's Curse. Hexblade's Curse versus Hex, which is also a bonus action. So yeah, you get Hexblade's Curse back after a short rest. Let me take a look at Hex here. Because I believe they do pretty similar things, and that takes up a bonus action, so if I want to do an extra attack or something like that, doing so... So yeah, you deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage. Choose one ability. When you cast the spell, the target has disadvantage on ability checks made with that. You can use a bonus action on a subsequent turn of yours to curse a new creature. Okay, so yes, I do want Hex. They are different enough that I can stack them on a boss and just kind of wreck face. Which is what you want to do with this particular build. And speak of the devil, Shag is actually reaching out to me. I will send him the link to the YouTube version that we do of this here in just a little bit. All right, so as far as spells go, I've got 3 of my 7. So what we'd be looking at here, you go down to 2nd level spells. So, hold person. Misty Step. Darkness and invisibility. So, let's see. I do want to take Darkness, because I'll end up with Devil's Sight as one of my invocations. So, we're going to add Darkness. Oh, wait, that is a 2nd level spell, so... Darkness! No parents! Had to. Couldn't not do that. All right. Invisibility. I don't know if I want to do invisibility or not. What I do want, though, at 3rd level is Counterspell. I can't do it as often as a sorcerer can, but still, it's good to have someone who can do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get 2 more spells. So, fly. I hate the fly spell. I hate it as a, well, I hate it as a GM. It ruins a lot of things. Basically, if you have a puzzle where there's a chasm that players have to cross, fly renders that moot. So you have to have ways to take care of the flying person. Which I did in my last session when one of my scions decided he was going to fly across this chasm of lava, and I sicked some flying demons on him. So I could do Hunger of Hadar, which is tentacle monster scary shit. Or I could do Vampiric Touch. Or I could do Shadow of Moil. Let me actually... That's a Xanathar's Guide spell. I might actually take that over Darkness if it provides me with a little bit better... a little bit better shadow effect. There's no reason to have 2 Darkness spells. Especially when you have 2 spell slots. So... Shadow of Moil. Flame-like shadows wreathe your body until the spell ends, causing you to become heavily obscured to others. The shadows turn dim light within 10 feet of you into darkness, and bright light in the same area to dim light. Until the spell ends, you have resistance to radiant damage. In addition, whenever a creature within 10 feet of you hits with an attack, the shadows lash out at the creature, dealing 2d8 damage. 2d8 necrotic damage. That's different enough from Darkness, I might actually take it. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. We're going with Shadow of Moil. So, that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I get 1 more spell. So, Vampiric Touch. Let's see. I might need Vampiric Touch just to give myself a little bit more health. Let's read over the text there, since this is something that's different in this edition. And again, this is a lot of me reading spells because I have never played a spellcaster before. Vampiric Touch. Touch of your shadow-breathed hand can siphon life force from others to heal your wounds. Make a melee spell attack against a creature within your reach. On a hit, the target takes 3d6 necrotic damage, and you regain hit points equal to half the amount of necrotic damage dealt. Yeah. So that's good. That's pretty good. And let's see. Counterspell, Dispel Magic, enemies bound. Misty Step. Teleport is a bonus action. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Vampiric Touch as my final spell. I believe that is a 3rd level. Yes. Yes. And I guess I can take a look and see if any of these Hexblade spells do anything better for me. I don't necessarily think they do. But it might be worth it to take like a Wrathful Smite or something like that. So let me see what we've got here. Or maybe Blur even. Don't remember what Blur does. Blur might be a way I can buff someone, too. So, Blur, your body becomes blurred, shifting, waving. For the duration, any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. An attacker is immune to this effect if he doesn't rely on sight, as with blind sight. Not bad. Actually, I do get Phantasmal Killer. That's one that I can take at 4th level. So, let me see what that does. You tap into the nightmares of any creature you can see within range, and create an illusory manifestation of its deepest fears, visible only to that creature. Wisdom saving throw. Or take 4d10 psychic damage. Yeah, that's... damn. But Banishment and Shadow of Moil are so good. I'm actually going to hold off on that, because at 7th level I will get another spell. I'm going to basically keep it here for the time being as far as my spells go. Now, we go. Not that one. Pact Boon. So, with all that in mind, we get our packed boon. I'll go ahead and take care of that because that'll be quick. The boon that we're going to take is going to be Pact of the Blade, which allows me to conjure a blade. Let's see. This is still... Yep, Pact of the Blade. You can use your action to create a packed weapon in your empty hand. You can choose the form that this melee weapon takes each time you create it. You are proficient with it while you wield it. The weapon counts as magical. And your packed weapon disappears if it's more than 5 feet away from you for 1 minute or more. It also disappears if you use this feature again, if you dismiss the weapon, or if you die. You can transform one magic weapon into your packed weapon by performing a special ritual while you hold the weapon. You can perform this ritual over the course of 1 hour, which can be done during a short rest. You can then dismiss the weapon, shunting it into an extra dimensional space, and it appears whenever you create your packed weapon thereafter. You can't affect an artifact or sentient weapon this way. The weapon ceases being your packed weapon if you die. Okay, so yeah, Shag has allowed us to take a magic weapon, so what I'll do there is... the Warden's Edge will end up being a greatsword. And then from there, which we're looking at is... invocations. Okay. So, at 6th level, and this is the last thing, because we are going super long here. I just wanted to get most of these details out. Kind of for my own benefit, but also just to let you guys kind of see my process. So, at this time, I know 3 invocations. Which are available to me. I can get Eldritch Smite. Let's see. The one that I know I want is Improved Packed Weapon. So, what that gives me is you can use any weapon you summon with your Pact of the Blade feature as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. In addition, the weapon gains a +1 bonus to its attack and damage rolls, unless it is a magic weapon that already has a bonus to those rolls. Finally, the weapon you conjure can be a short bow, longbow, light crossbow, or heavy crossbow. So that'll allow me to... if I want, I can summon a bow. It also gets rid of the need for Warcaster. aside from that, let's see. I believe from there I know I need Devil Sight. Because that gives me that gives me dark vision in magical darkness. And let's see. And I'll take Thirsting Blade. That allows you to attack with your packed weapon twice. It's basically your extra attack. Coolio. I'm just making sure there aren't any others that I absolutely positively need. I don't believe so. Yeah, at this point, those are the three that I that I really need as a warlock, as a blade lock. So there we go. Just to kind of round out a couple things. I'm 6th level. I can do medium armor, so I'm going to start with, and Shag let us pick some additional items. If I can pull up his communication here. Shag let us start with some magic items if we want to. So I'm going to go ahead and see what his parameters there were. Huh, okay. So Shag is raining generosity upon us. Now that I'm reading over what he's given us, this actually makes me afraid of what Shag has in store for us. Anytime you get an attribute bonus, basically, anytime we can get a feat or an attribute bonus on our class levels, Shag is granting us both an additional feat and an attribute bonus. So basically, that one attribute bonus that I've gotten so far, not only do I get that feat, I can take another feat, and I get, I believe, a full level up as well. Shag is gonna kill us, is what I'm trying to say. He has given us a lot of tools here to basically be as bad as we can be, but Shag is going to try to kill us. I can feel it in my bones. So this is going to be very interesting. So yes, I can have a mundane magical item and a +2 weapon. And so let me see what kind of armor I should take here. I'm going to start out with... I'm going to go ahead and start out with Scale Mail, which will give me... AC of 15. Initiative is +1. So, with the knowledge that I can now take... Let me just make sure I'm reading this right. You also get a feat and 1 attribute bonus each time your class gives you an attribute or feat bonus. So yes, I get another feat if I want. So let's take a look at some feats here and see what else I should be taking. Actually, I believe what I should be taking is over here in Xanathar's Guide. Elven Accuracy. So basically, you increase your Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. And whenever you have advantage on an attack roll using one of those, you can re-roll one of the dice once. So, Elven Accuracy. That'll butt me up to an 18. Makes that a +4. There we go. Yeah, this is where homebrew can get kind of, like, insane. 68. And I should calculate my hit points. But yeah, with the increase to 1 stat, I believe that can go up to a 16 for +3. So... Warlock hit points, and then we will call it for the day, because this has been a long one. But I'm having fun. Hope you guys are having fun, too. Oh, it looks like Shag is actually in the chat here. How you doing? So, Shag, I do have a question for you. When you mean the feat and the stat increase per level, is that 1 stat gets increased by +1? Is that how that works? Now that you're here? Is what I'm going to do. And Shag, since you missed the beginning of this, this is also going up on YouTube, so you can see kind of what happens at the beginning as well. But I will go ahead and pull this up. Yep, one stat by one. All right, cool. So Constitution does, in fact, go up. Hit points, here we are looking at... Let's see. 8 plus your con modifier to start with, so 8, 10, 11. And then plus 8 at second, plus 8 at third, plus 8 at fourth, plus 8 at fifth, and plus 8 at sixth for a whopping total of 51 hit points. Which for a Warlock is high. I don't need to worry about temporary hit points there. Which has not ever been a thing for me. So, yeah, that is pretty much everything that we have here. That is going to do it for today's episode. Like I said... Yes, absolutely. Shag, I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to try to murder us with all of this that you've given us here. So, I am scared but excited. And I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm glad that you put it together. Because this is going to be cool. This is going to be really cool. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Next week, on Monday, we are going to talk to Nathan Paletta about Worldwide Wrestling. Of course, you know, I love wrestling. We're definitely going to talk about that, talk about his game, and why it's the best wrestling game available now. Next Saturday, because it came in, we are going to do a review of Blades in the Dark. I have my copy now. I've got both a PDF and a physical, so I can show you guys the book as well. And we're just going to discuss that particular game. I'm going to review it, let you know my honest thoughts on it. I think it'll be cool, but I have not fully read over the rules yet. So, thank you for watching. If anyone missed this, you can go on over to YouTube. I'll have the links posted once everything is up there. So until then, guys, whether you rolled a 1 or a 20, I'm so glad that you rolled your bones with me, Ryan Howard, and I'll see you next time.